E4. Okay. I will play the Pierts. For you, Classy. It can also just transpose back with E5 here. Knight C3, E5 is a... This is a variation. Bishop D3 is weird. So, I mean, the Pierts is supposed to be like this, but if I see this opening, I'm almost always going to play E5. This just looks like an odd move. If you play D5, then who knows? Maybe turns more into a King's Indian. And this should just be a bit better for black. Yeah, this should be a bit better for black. Bishop C5, I'm thinking. It's a good question, Ahmed. You know, why am I saying it's better when it's symmetrical? Well, first thing, I know it doesn't look like it, but for the opening phase of the game, I'm actually controlling the d5 because my opponent's bishop's in the way of his own queen. So, like, if the bishop moves, then I could trade. My bishop also hasn't committed itself to this square. If I played this and I played this, then yeah, it would be symmetrical. But I think both of these pieces can be improved. I think this bishop would rather be here. And I think this knight might rather be here. Now that he's put the knight there, I'm going to probably go c6. And the knight will look a little silly. And I think I can also improve the bishop. Instead of just putting mine on d6, I can put on c5. So because he's already committed a few pieces to, I would say, not the best squares, I think we can do better going forward. I'm interested in h6 here. If knight takes e5, queen d4, bishop b5 check, I have knight d7, jabber, and then I'm just going to kick your bishop out, and if you give up your bishop, I don't think that's too much in your favor. So there is that at least. I was thinking of h6 to stop this, but then if knight takes, there might be queen d4, but okay. Maybe then there's bishop to e5. I like c6. Knight takes here, queen d4. That looks like it works. We'll stop the knight from going anywhere. h6, queen e7, knight d7 look like the next moves. And if I'm not mistaken, knight e5, there's always queen d4. This pawn needs to be defended. That's for sure. Let's go queen e7, knight d7, castle. Maybe bishop e6, but it's a tough move to get. Also unnecessary as well. I'll always start with h6, just because that doesn't look very interesting for him. Ooh, that's not a good move, that's for sure. I think he'll come to regret that one. It's castle. So now, yeah, we're castled. I think this pawn is perfect against the knight. Bishop g4, h3, bishop h5 is okay, but I'm probably more likely going to go knight d7. Bishops belong on open files. What? White is killing it in that regard. This looks weird, maybe to some people, and not rook d8. But remember, I have another rook that wants to join the action. The main reason I'm doing this is actually to free up the f8 square. Doesn't seem entirely obvious, but I'd like to go knight here, knight here, knight here. This is actually a pretty good move. I'm going to straight away just stop that with this. I don't want him playing a5 and knight a4. So if he got to play a5, that would be pretty nice, but I'll stop that idea in its tracks. So he's improved his bishop. It's actually a very good move. So happy to see him do it. But there's a reason why the bishop should have been there to begin with, and why his pieces just seem to be on funny looking squares. And so I'm wondering if you guys are noticing what I'm noticing, right? Bishop c4, great looking move. It belongs there. It probably should have been there from the start. But let's say the bishop went to g5, h6, bishop h4. What I'm interested in doing wouldn't be possible anymore. So what's a nice thing that I can do here? Purple pixel, that's a bannable offense. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen h4. What in the literal fuck variation is that? That's an insane conclusion. Nice one, HP Warrior. So HP Warrior is the only one who really picked up on the fact that bishop takes f2 and queen c5 just wins a pawn. Nice and easy, nice and simple. No fancy, like, 3-4 move calculations. It's a 2-move tactic. There's nothing white can do. It just works. So that exists. Now, knowing that that exists, I also become very interested in Tommy Salami's variation, right? Because bishop takes f2 is the first thing you need to notice, that this is there. Then you take it a step further and you say, wait a minute, what about knight g4? The usual answer to knight g4 would be, the rook defense. But then if we take 2 pieces for the rook at the very end of the variation, we're going to win a full piece. So 2 pieces for the rook, but then we win a piece at the end, completely winning for us. So knight g4, the answer for my opponent would need to be bishop e3. It's the only move. Now after bishop e3, bishop takes e3, pawn takes, queen c5. Then we think about that position, and the bishop moves, and we have knight takes e3. But there is queen d3 there, guards the bishop and guards the e3 pawn. Right? So there are a few reasons why it's important to notice bishop f2. Personally, I think knight g4 overcomplicates things. This tactic immediately, nice and simple. Nice and simple. Check. Just winning a pawn. If bishop e3, I would have gone knight g4 check. So, good of him to stop it. Check. Now, if queen c5, there is bishop e3. In this position, I'm actually kind of interested in that. Knight g4 to stop this, setting up queen c5 check. That's what interests me. Because h3 doesn't help. h3 doesn't do anything. And all this came from the fact that white played bishop d3, and in the resulting position, the bishop honestly wanted to be on c4. And by the time he put it there were other issues with it. Well, the bishop was better on c4, but it needed to be there much, much earlier. White can play bishop e3. I mean, it's kind of a nice position for black, but it's not completely winning more material or anything like that. Okay, rook e2. So after queen check, our opponent is definitely intending just king f1. That's what it looks like, at least. Seems like that's fine. I could try b6 and bishop a6, but it's a little bit slow. Nevertheless, completely worth it for me to force the king here. Definitely worth it. Because even if I get kicked out, even if I lose a bunch of moves, white will have to spend time, fixing the king. So definitely worth it. h3 is coming. There's not much we can do about it, but that's okay. I'm just going to develop naturally. Rook d8, I don't think I'm threatening anything with that move, so I'd rather have this rook show up there. So instead of b6 to threaten that, this move also threatens that, and it gets developed. So I like this move. h3 is strong. If I go here, I'm going to lose the knight, so of course we're going to retreat our knight. Now our queen's attacked. We need to save the queen. Between these two moves, I was actually interested in queen b4. It keeps an eye on the position. It also threatens queen takes b2, which I kind of liked. Johnny Utah. Don't think rook d8, knight e3 was a threat because white could just take the knight. Okay. Well, this is definitely a frisky response here, knight e5, because this pawn's hanging, and of course I'd love to find a way to get that to work. Like I could play any bishop move on the board and the knight would be hanging after. So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, what happens after I take here? Like, let's get that straight. Maybe bishop d4? Knight d7, sure, playable. This feels like it's a little bit too deep, like too far behind enemy lines. However, it's tempting. This one looks nice and easy. Bishop h3 is kind of turning out to be one of the better looking moves. But there's something about just completing my development that really, really feels good here. One move that white's about to do, to be honest with you, is knight d3. That is a good move. Yeah, you know what? I think knight e4 is the simplest. Knight e4. I like it. It threatens knight here, which is great. So you kind of have to take. And then, yeah, there's no tricky bishop move because I can just move with a check. And if knight d3, I have at least knight takes c3. My pieces are mostly on light squares, at least the valuable ones, so it's also not super dangerous for like a dark square bishop to move somewhere. Okay, queen obviously needs a safe square. Bishop c4 is quite tempting. Probably top consideration here, just because it simplifies a lot and we end up material. So one thing is bishop here, knight takes, queen takes, b3. I kind of have to take because I have to keep that pin because my rook's hanging. Takes, takes. Now, I am ahead in that position, but I have to make sure that I'm comfortable with the outcome because while I'm up a pawn, his bishop is like gonna sit on b6. He's gonna bring the rook in. It's like pretty annoying for him actually. Pretty annoying for me, I guess I should say. I don't know if I love that. So I'm thinking more like just keep material on the board here. But definitely tempting. Bishop c4. Yeah, problem is lost moves. Queen a6, c4 in that line. I don't know. I start to lose because my knight can't develop. The queen's offside and trapped, honestly, after c4. That starts to feel really bad. I think white might actually be better there. Whoa. That is for sure an elite move. What a guy. First thing I'm looking at, though, is bishop d5. Not only is it right on the money, attack makes a threat, stops rook f3, so both of those things I like, but yeah, bishop d5 is, I think that's the move here. Very hard to suggest a different move than knight d5. Rook f3 just looks bothersome. Not winning on the spot, not even anything like that, but just looks annoying. How's f6? I guess he's got knight d3, so it's nothing. Bishop d5, rook e3. Even knight here is playable. Yeah, we should be fine. I like bishop d5. I think this is a good move. Perfect to stop that and to make a new threat. Meanwhile, his bishop is still pinned here. Now I'm thinking of these two moves. Develop that last piece. f6, also a consideration. Yeah, I think knight d7 should be good. Knight g4. Now we have bishop c4. So yeah, like I don't see any tricks for him. It feels like he almost has some fancy stuff, but I'm not seeing it, to be honest with you. Knight c6, knight g6 don't work. I can take this and then just take whatever thing. Looks like he's getting some knight e7, but it's not happening. I'm gonna be up a piece there. Knight takes, I can take here first. I can also throw in bishop c4 instead of taking the knight back, or I could take the knight back. I have a very healthy choice there. This move, I'll be honest with you, I did not consider. Zero consideration at all. Probably queen e6. Queen f4, knight takes. Queen f4, knight takes. You're not really getting in there with queen h2. So then you'd have to play this line. Does it work? Not really. So I think it's a queen e6 angle. Queen e6, knight c6. Queen c6, knight c6. Actually, queen e6. There is both knight c6 and knight g6. Now they work because my queen has to respond, and then we drop that. So there's that. But what I was gonna say is, actually, we can just take this. And this is, I mean, the king's wide open. This is actually just probably good for us now, which is kind of insane. But this is actually just going to be a good position. This is fortunate, and I say fortunate because it's not like I was sitting there after g4 and intending to play queen takes here. So I say fortunate in that sense. Okay, queen e6, we're not lost. Like, we'll maybe lose the exchange. It's much worse, but we're not lost. We're down the exchange. Here, though, fortunately, I think we're almost better after this. Because bishop f3 wins material back, bishop c4 wins material back, and any king move runs into knight f3. So, like, is it just me, or is this actually just good for black? Because I'm threatening to win this material back in two different ways. And either king move walks into, like, a check from hell. So I think we're going to win the exchange back, have two rooks for the queen, and just we'll be chilling. Totally fine. Yeah, we just want to pick bishop c4 or bishop f3. In general, it's always better to pin things to the king. Just better habit. It's more permanent. Of course, this doesn't do anything because e2 is still loose. Yeah, king here, knight f3, king here, knight f3, king here. Actually, knight g4 hurts. So there's no king move that I can see that's sufficient there. So I think it's got to be this one. I think. But then you got me thinking about rook here. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. I don't think we can do this. I think we just have to take our position here. Take on e2. Knight f3 takes nothing. Here, nothing. Here, nothing. It's time to take. Rook here, bishop takes, rook d5. So I think I'll start with this. Two rooks against the queen will definitely win. Yeah, he's well aware of it as well. We have knight here. It's unclear to me how good that is. I'm just gonna defend this for now. It's definitely thinking about knight d3. Okay. It's very professional decision by him to go here. b6. Wait for this. And now I'm assuming queen. Well, only these three squares make sense. Maybe he was thinking I'm going f6 and he has queen c4 check, but the plan was always this. Still, after bishop c3, it's definitely a lot better than before. So the rooks normally do well here, but obviously we'll have to work because we have to put up with him winning a pawn over here. But I think we'll take this way, almost for sure. No matter which pawn he takes, go down there, give him a check, pick up some pawns of our own. What? I don't understand. Like, I think the two rooks are better than the queen, but I mean, like, look what the engine says about this. There's no way it gives a good evaluation. Holy shit, I had 3 brilliant moves this game? The fuck? Huh? The hell happened? And they were all based on like a different theme, I think. Okay, so bishop takes f2 check. Okay, they're gonna give me brilliant there. And then they're gonna give me another brilliant move. This is close here, you know? This is we're fighting here in this game. Inaccuracy. Rook e3, I'm assuming. Knight d7, good because of g4. And queen takes e5, brilliancy. Whoa. The move that I was lucky to have or I would be lost against the 1300. Brilliant. Okay. We did rook d8. Seems fair. You're kidding me. Rook a8 is not even in the top 3 moves. You gotta be fucking joking me right now. Huh? Can someone explain? Like, rook a8 will be a top move. The engine will have to think about it, and it'll get there. But still, knight g6, I can tell the engine likes a lot more. Rook a8 is actually like an insane brilliancy to get. Huh? Like, what? Rook a8? The computer just flipped out. I've never seen that before. b6 I know was not good here because this move. And this is what I'm saying. He played the best move. I played this. And it's like, it's a bit better for black. Like, it's better. But you know what I mean? This is just a fight. Like, this is just a struggle. 2 rooks against the queen, even pawns. The rooks should win, but This is not easy at all. And he just resigned. What the hell was he thinking? I don't know. And remember, you guys remember the time? I had 20 seconds. He had 10 minutes. Like, what?